So when we go out for a run, our bodies do a lot of very cool and interesting things that we want to share with you today. Top on my list is energy production. And we breathe in oxygen, our bodies take that oxygen into our bloodstream. Not only feeds our muscles, but is important to create energy. Our bodies use something called ATP from our glycogen stores to create energy. And that fuels our muscles. And one of the outputs of that is carbon dioxide, which we breathe out. Now, one of the cool things about this process is if we have no glycogen, we run out of glycogen, guess what? Our bodies will start to use fat and create energy from fat. So our bodies are these very efficient, productive, energy-producing machines to fuel our muscles, which allows us to run long distances. You're not going to see a mountain lion, for example, go out and do a marathon, okay? But people can do that. Now, a couple other interesting things that happen when we start to run is that you may notice maybe one of these unfortunate people that either gets runner's diarrhea or you might get an upset stomach. That's because our body's taking that blood that it's using for digestion, sending it to our muscles, so we may have an upset stomach. The other thing you may notice is that the first mile you run may be a little more difficult than the second mile, and that's because our blood's not well oxygenated yet. When you start running, your muscles are demanding fuel, they're demanding oxygen, but your blood just doesn't have high oxygen content yet. But after the first mile, our blood gets well oxygenated, our stomach settles down, and off we go. But let's jump inside the home studio because it's getting really windy and cold out here, and let's talk about some of the other amazing things that happen to our body when we go for a run.
Hi, I'm Ralph, the Ageless Runner. I'm all about helping people have a fun, healthy, and safe running life. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing. But thank you for being here. So the energy system that we talked about in the intro involves a lot of our cardiovascular. But I want to talk a little bit more about cardiovascular, then talk a little bit about our muscle systems, our skeletal systems, and finally, there are mental and emotional systems. Of course, it goes without saying that when we start running, our breath rate picks up, our heart rate picks up, and a lot of that is driven by our muscles' need for oxygen and fuel. In fact, there's these little tiny sacs in our lungs called the alveoli that are very efficient at taking in oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide. But they become more efficient when we run. It's often why runners who regularly run say, I can breathe a lot better. I'm much more capable of breathing doing other activities. So if you're out playing, pickleball with your son or your grandkids, you may find that it's a little easier for you than maybe some of your fellow players who don't run. But over time, with continued running, of course, our heart becomes stronger. And one thing you may notice, if you're a regular runner, that you have a lower resting heart rate. I looked at my watch this morning and it says my average resting heart rate for the past 7 days was 55 beats per minute. It's not uncommon, again, for regular runners. So our hearts get stronger. Of course, we know our lung capacity improves. If you track or measure your VO2 max, you may see that climb over time with continued running. VO2 max is a measure of how efficiently and how well our bodies use oxygen when we exercise. So we improve VO2 max, we improve the strength of our heart. So just tremendous benefits, as you would expect, from regular and sustained running. Now, when we start running, of course, our muscles contract and they rely on glycogen and fat to get you energy to do that. And of course, blood flow increases, oxygen increases to help power and fuel our muscles. And also that contraction helps with getting away waste products, specifically lactic acid. If we're running aerobically, our bodies do a pretty good job. We get enough oxygen, we create the lactic acid, but we clear it out too. But when we start running harder, if we start running, say, hill repeats or intervals, or just running at a faster pace, or we start to run more anaerobically, that lactic acid builds up, and that's where our muscles get that burning feeling, or we just get plain tired. But as long as we're running aerobically, we clear that out and can run longer. And also with sustained running over time, our muscles fibers have a greater capacity to resist fatigue, which means we can run longer and run more efficiently. And of course, running strengthens our leg muscles, our glutes, our hamstrings, our quads, and so forth. But we also use other muscles when we run, and those are muscles that we use to help balance. I mean, you're running, especially if you trail run, you're trying to stay upright, but even running on the road, you're trying to stay upright and stay in a rhythm. So running helps improve our balance. Extremely important as we get older. Us older people have more balance issues, so running helps improve that. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, would you be so kind to just scroll down and hit that like icon? The like not only helps my video, but really helps my channel. Thank you so much. Now, we often think of going to the gym and lifting weights as weight-bearing exercise, but running is a weight-bearing exercise also. And the reason I say that is because it's very good for our bones. The impact of running, the repeated impact and running helps increase and maintain bone density through a process called remodeling. That's how the body gets rid of old bone and creates new bone. So this is especially important if you're a postmenopausal woman where you have a risk of osteoporosis. So it's very good at improving our bones. And also when we run, our joints experience compression, which pumps nutrients into our cartilage, which helps maintain the strength and health of our cartilage. So over time, we continue running, we help maintain and improve bone density. We strengthen and create healthy joints, and just helps us go into our later years much healthier, much lower risk of falling and maybe breaking a bone. And finally, there's the mental or emotional aspect of running. We all know and heard of the runner's high. That's from endorphins being released when we run. But there's also a long-term benefit. With regular running, our body produces more serotonin and dopamine, which helps with overall mood, helps us deal with stress, helps us just make us a little more resilient. And not only from the chemicals that we release, the dopamine and the serotonin and so forth, but think about doing a long run. A long run is not only physically taxing, but mentally taxing, being out there and doing mile after mile. All that stuff helps improve our ability to withstand stress and withstand the trials and tribulations of life. So running is a great boost mentally, is very good for our mental health. So running kind of engages almost every system of our body. We get benefits and changes in our body. We get stronger heart health, better lung capacity, better bone health, better balance, better emotional health. It's such a great thing. And I wanted to share with you all these positive things, all these positive changes in your body from running. And I hope you have a little better appreciation for it. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you would scroll down and hit the like button. That really helps my video and my channel. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. In any event, please stay strong and happy running.